Limitless. Upgrade your brain, learn anything faster, and unlock your exceptional life by Jim Kwik. Picture this, a 5-year-old boy in kindergarten, surrounded by the delightful chaos of children's laughter and crayon-scribbled masterpieces. Suddenly, a siren pierces the air outside. In an instant, every single kid stampedes toward the window. Fire trucks! For this little boy, firefighters are the ultimate superheroes, and there's no way he's missing this. He drags his chair over to the old iron radiator beneath the window, desperate for a glimpse of his heroes in action. His eyes are glued to the scene, completely mesmerized, but then, disaster strikes. Another excited kid yanks his chair away. Time slows down. He's airborne for just a split second before gravity takes over, and he crashes headfirst into that unforgiving radiator. That boy's name? Jim Kwik. And that single moment changed the entire trajectory of his life. Before the accident, he was curious and confident, bursting with potential. Afterward, everything shut down. His focus scattered like leaves in the wind. His memory became frustratingly unreliable. Learning transformed from an adventure into an exhausting battle. School, which should have been a gateway to discovery, became something he dreaded. For years, he carried a label that a frustrated teacher had carelessly stamped on him in front of everyone: the boy with the broken brain. That label became his prison. Every failed test, every moment of confusion, every time he fell behind, he'd whisper to himself, "It's because my brain is broken." But here's the thing. This isn't just a tragic story about a childhood accident. It's about something far more profound, something that touches all of us. Are our limitations set in stone? Are we forever defined by our past mistakes, our struggles, or the cruel labels others slap on us? Jim Kwik, who grew from that broken boy into a renowned brain coach, has spent his entire life shouting the answer from the rooftops: absolutely not. His book, Limitless, which has sold millions of copies and sparked transformations across the globe, isn't just a manual for learning tricks. It's a complete blueprint for rewriting the story you've been telling yourself about what you can and cannot do. Today, we're diving deep into the treasure chest of wisdom inside Limitless. By the time we're done, you'll understand the 3 fundamental keys to unleashing your brain's extraordinary power. You'll uncover the hidden scripts quietly sabotaging your progress and discover how to replace them with empowering ones. You'll find the kind of motivation that actually lasts, the kind that can carry you toward any goal you set. And you'll learn the practical, proven methods to absorb information faster than you ever thought possible. This isn't about waking up as a genius tomorrow morning. It's about something much more exciting: the promise of pushing past the boundaries you've accepted as reality. It's your journey to becoming limitless. Every legendary tale, whether it's Star Wars, Harry Potter, or The Lord of the Rings, follows a timeless pattern called the hero's journey. The hero begins in an ordinary, constrained world, hears an exciting call to adventure, discovers a mentor who unlocks new abilities, and ultimately returns home to share their gifts with their community. In the narrative of Limitless, Jim Kwik makes one thing crystal clear from the start: you are that hero. And this book? It's your mentor, your treasure map to discovering your hidden superpowers. But every hero needs a worthy opponent, right? In our modern landscape, Kwik reveals, we're not battling a mustache-twirling villain in a cape. We're up against 4 sneaky digital supervillains that are silently hijacking our brains, one notification at a time. The first villain is digital deluge. We're drowning in a tsunami of information. Every single day, each of us processes as much data as a person living in the 15th century would have encountered in their entire lifetime. Think about that for a moment. Our brains desperately need downtime to process experiences and cement long-term memories, but we never give them that gift. The result? Crushing overwhelm, rising anxiety, and complete mental exhaustion. We have access to essentially all human knowledge, but the time to actually understand any of it keeps evaporating. The second villain lurking in our pockets is digital distraction. Our smartphones have evolved into portable dopamine slot machines. Every ping, every heart emoji, every text message trains our brains to crave that next hit of stimulation. We've completely lost the ability to maintain deep, uninterrupted focus. Kwik shares an eye-opening story about a friend who picked up her phone over 1,000 times in a single day. We're not just getting distracted anymore. We're actively practicing distraction, hour after hour, day after day. And as the wisdom goes, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. We're literally training ourselves to become more unfocused. The third villain has a chilling name: digital dementia. Neuroscientists use this term to describe how our excessive dependence on technology is causing our natural memory abilities to waste away. We've essentially outsourced our memories to our devices. Here's a quick test. As a kid, you probably had a dozen phone numbers memorized without even trying. How many can you recall right now? Your phone remembers everything for you. Sure, it's convenient, but it means the part of your brain responsible for memory is growing weaker from lack of exercise. It's the eternal truth. Use it or lose it. And the final villain is digital deduction. In a world where every opinion, every analysis, every ready-made conclusion sits just one search away, we've started surrendering our own capacity for critical thinking. Instead of wrestling with a difficult problem and forming our own thoughtful conclusions, we let algorithms and trending articles do the heavy lifting for us. We're becoming world-class consumers of other people's thoughts, but beginners at creating our own and reasoning through complexity. These four villains, Kwik argues passionately, are casting us into a collective trance. It's a kind of mass hypnosis that convinces us we're fundamentally limited. We feel overloaded, forgetful, scattered, and helplessly dependent on our devices. We start believing this is just how I am, as if it's written in our DNA. But here's the first powerful lie we must shatter. The truth is, you were born with the most sophisticated technology ever created. You already own a supercomputer more powerful than anything Silicon Valley will ever manufacture. Your magnificent brain. And the key to breaking free from this trance is understanding what Kwik calls the limitless model. Kwik's entire philosophy stands on a beautifully simple yet powerful framework. If there's a frustrating gap between where you are now and where you dream of being, the limitation exists in one of three specific areas: your mindset, your motivation, or your methods. Imagine it as a three-legged stool. If even one leg wobbles or breaks, the entire thing collapses and you're on the floor. Your mindset is the what. It's the entire collection of beliefs, attitudes, and assumptions you carry about yourself and the world around you. It's what you genuinely believe is possible for someone like you. Your motivation is the why. It's your deeper purpose, your inner fire, the energy reserves you can tap into for taking meaningful action. And your methods are the how. These are the specific processes, techniques, and strategies you actually use to accomplish a task, like how you learn new information, how you read a challenging book, or how you remember important details. The adventure toward becoming limitless requires upgrading all three areas. Let's start with the first, and quite possibly the most crucial: mindset. Mindset, the what. Kwik reveals that our mindsets are constructed from stories, and many of these stories are complete fiction. He calls them LIEs, which stands for limited ideas entertained. These are the beliefs we've accepted about our own potential, often without even realizing it. Perhaps the most damaging of these is the widespread idea that our intelligence is fixed from birth. This is the first of 7 great learning lies Kwik challenges us to completely shatter. We've been conditioned by things like IQ tests to believe we're born with a certain amount of smarts, and that's our permanent ceiling. But as Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck has famously demonstrated through decades of research, this is the hallmark of a fixed mindset. The liberating alternative is a growth mindset, the understanding that our abilities can absolutely be developed through dedication and consistent hard work. It's not about how smart you are in this moment. It's about recognizing how you are smart and how you can become smarter. Kwik reminds us that intelligence isn't a fixed quantity you're stuck with. It's fluid, malleable, and can be cultivated throughout your entire life. The second lie is that hoary old myth that we only use 10% of our brains. This misconception, popularized by movies and motivational speakers, is simply false. Brain imaging shows that we use virtually every part of our brain throughout the day, even while we're sleeping. The real question isn't how much of our brain we're using, but rather how skillfully we're using it. Consider this analogy. We all have 100% of our bodies, yet some people are stronger, faster, and more flexible because they've deliberately trained their bodies. The exact same principle applies to your brain. You already possess all the hardware you'll ever need. The purpose of this book is to install better software. Another deeply harmful lie is that mistakes equal failure. From our earliest school days, we're taught to fear mistakes. That red X marked on your test doesn't just correct an error. It feels like a judgment on your worth and intelligence. But Kwik beautifully reframes this. Mistakes are not proof of failure whatsoever. They're proof that you're trying, that you're stretching, that you're learning. There is no failure, only a failure to learn from the experience. Mistakes are stepping stones on the path forward, not stop signs blocking your way. Einstein himself, the very symbol of genius in our culture, made countless errors throughout his career. He famously observed, "A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new." Kwik walks us through all 7 of these limiting beliefs, including the notion that knowledge is power, when really it's only potential power until you actually apply it. That learning is inherently difficult. It's only difficult when you use ineffective methods, and that genius is born, not made. Genius is grown through deliberate practice over time. But knowing these lies exist isn't enough. How do you actually change these deeply embedded beliefs? Kwik offers a straightforward 3-step process. First, you must name your limiting beliefs. Start paying close attention to your self-talk, that running commentary in your head. Anytime you catch that inner voice saying, "I can't," "I'm not good at," or "I don't have the ability to," congratulations! You've identified a limiting belief hiding in plain sight. Second, get to the actual facts. Challenge that belief head-on. If you believe you're terrible at public speaking, what's the real evidence? Did the audience boo you off stage? Did people throw vegetables? Or is this just an opinion, a story you've been telling yourself for years based on one uncomfortable moment? You'll often discover your beliefs are built on feeling, not fact. And third, create a new, more empowering belief. If your old belief was, "I have a terrible memory," your new belief could be, "I am actively learning to train and improve my memory." Notice the difference. One closes doors, the other opens them. This isn't just fluffy positive thinking or empty affirmations. It's about consciously creating a new identity. Kwik emphasizes that the 2 most powerful words in the English language are "I am." Whatever follows those 2 words actively shapes your reality. If you consistently see yourself as a learner, you will learn. If you consistently see yourself as limited, you will remain trapped. A limitless mindset is the essential foundation upon which everything else must be built. But here's the thing. A powerful mindset by itself isn't enough to create change. You can genuinely believe you're capable of extraordinary things, but if you don't have the energy or the drive to actually get off the couch and take action, nothing in your life will change. This brings us naturally to the second leg of the stool, motivation. Motivation, the why. Most people think of motivation as something mysterious that you either have or you don't. You wake up feeling motivated on some magical mornings, or you simply don't. Kwik argues this is yet another lie we need to discard. Motivation isn't something you passively have or don't have. It's something you actively do. It's a learnable process, a practical strategy that can be generated whenever you need it. He offers us an elegant formula, Motivation equals purpose times energy times S cubed. Let's unpack each element. Purpose is your genuine reason for doing something. It's your deep why. As author Simon Sinek famously says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The same principle applies to motivating yourself. Reasons reap results. If your reason for learning a new skill is weak or vague, your motivation will be equally weak. Kwik encourages us to find a purpose that's deeply connected to our core identity and values. A generic goal like, I want to read more books, is hollow. A purpose like, I want to read one book every week so I can gain the wisdom to be a better, more present parent and an inspiring role model for my children, carries real power. That's a purpose that will pull you forward through the days when you absolutely don't feel like reading. The second component is energy. This is a complete game changer that most people overlook. You can have the most compelling purpose in the entire world, but if you're physically and mentally drained, you'll have zero fuel to take action. Kwik emphasizes that motivation is fundamentally about energy management, not just willpower. He provides us with 10 keys to generating limitless brain energy, which he calls his Kwik 10. This journey starts with a good brain diet. He lists his top 10 brain foods, including creamy avocados, antioxidant-rich blueberries, nutrient-dense broccoli, delicious dark chocolate, and omega-3 packed walnuts. Remember his simple, memorable mantra, what you eat matters, especially for your gray matter. It also includes regular exercise. As Kwik puts it, as your body moves, your brain grooves. Even just a few minutes of movement each day dramatically boosts blood flow and oxygen delivery to your brain, enhancing focus, creativity, and energy. And perhaps most critically, it includes quality sleep. Sleep isn't a luxury you indulge in when you have time. It's an absolute necessity for optimal brain health. While you sleep, your brain goes through what scientists call a, quote, laundry cycle, actively flushing out metabolic toxins that naturally accumulate during your waking hours. Sacrificing sleep isn't a badge of honor that proves your dedication. It's a guaranteed recipe for burnout and cognitive decline. The other keys include learning to kill ANTs, those automatic negative thoughts that swarm your mind, maintaining a clean, organized environment, deliberately surrounding yourself with a positive peer group that lifts you up, protecting your precious brain from physical injury, constantly engaging in new learning experiences, and actively managing your stress levels. The final piece of the motivation formula is S cubed, which stands for small, simple steps. The absolute biggest killer of motivation is feeling completely overwhelmed. When a goal seems impossibly huge, our brains simply shut down, and we retreat into procrastination. The elegant solution is to break any goal down into the smallest possible action you can conceivably take right now. You don't have to write an entire book today. You just have to write one sentence. You don't have to deep clean your entire house. You just have to put away one single dish. As Dr. B.J. Fogg from Stanford explains brilliantly in his research on tiny habits, these small, simple steps, when repeated consistently, build unstoppable momentum. Each small win releases a little burst of dopamine in your brain, which makes you genuinely want to take the next step. Over time, through repetition, these small actions transform into automatic habits. And Kwik reminds us of a startling fact. About half of our entire daily life runs on autopilot, governed by our habits. The key insight is to consciously design habits that actually serve your purpose rather than sabotage it. He suggests creating a powerful morning routine as a starting point. Even just a few simple actions, like drinking a glass of water to hydrate, making your bed to create immediate order, taking a few deep breaths to center yourself, and reviewing your goals for the day, can create an early win that sets a positive trajectory for everything that follows. When you deliberately combine a crystal-clear purpose with abundant energy and break your intimidating goals into small, simple steps, you create a sustainable, unstoppable fire of motivation that doesn't fizzle out after a few days. So now you have the right mindset firmly in place and the right motivation fueling your actions. You believe transformation is genuinely possible, and you have the energy reserves to get started. But what do you actually do? What are the concrete techniques? This brings us naturally to the third and final leg of the stool: methods. Methods, the how. This is where the real magic of learning how to learn comes vibrantly to life. Kwik argues persuasively that our traditional educational system taught us what to learn: history dates, mathematical formulas, scientific facts, but never taught us how to learn effectively. We were handed antiquated methods, like rote memorization and repetitive drills that are painfully slow and wildly inefficient. The methods revealed in Limitless are the modern-day upgrades your brain has been desperately waiting for. He focuses laser-like attention on 5 key areas: focus, study, memory, speed reading, and thinking. Let's start with focus. In our current age of perpetual distraction, the ability to concentrate deeply on a single task is a genuine superpower. Kwik teaches that focus, just like a physical muscle, can be systematically trained and strengthened. It starts with eliminating the popular myth of multitasking. Your brain doesn't actually multitask, despite what you might think. It rapidly task switches, bouncing attention from one thing to another in quick succession. This constant switching burns through your mental energy at an alarming rate and leads to significantly more errors. The solution is refreshingly simple. Practice unitasking. Do one thing at a time, and do it with your complete attention. He also suggests a clever technique for calming your busy, worried mind. Schedule time not just for your important tasks, but also for your distractions and worries. Instead of letting an anxious thought interrupt you 17 times throughout the day, schedule a dedicated 15-minute worry time for later. This surprisingly effective technique gives your brain permission to let go of the concern for now, knowing it will get its turn. Next comes study. How do you actually learn new information and retain it effectively over the long term? Forget cramming the night before. Kwik introduces 2 powerful techniques drawn directly from cognitive science research. The first is active recall. Instead of passively rereading your notes over and over like most people do, close the book completely and actively try to recall the key ideas purely from memory. This mental struggle is uncomfortable, but it sends a powerful signal to your brain that this information truly matters, which strengthens the neural connections. The second technique is spaced repetition. Instead of studying intensively in one marathon session and then never reviewing again, spread your study out into shorter sessions, spaced strategically over time. This approach brilliantly beats the forgetting curve, our natural human tendency to rapidly forget information shortly after learning it. By revisiting the material at carefully increasing intervals, you signal to your brain that this information needs to be transferred into long-term memory storage. Then comes memory, a topic incredibly close to Kwik's heart given his own journey from broken brain to memory champion. He demystifies the entire process of memory with a wonderfully simple acronym, MOM. The first M stands for motivation. You remember what you're genuinely motivated to remember. If someone credibly offered you $1 million to remember the name of the very next person you meet, would you possibly forget it? Of course not. Your motivation would be sky high. Find your personal reason to remember. The O stands for observation. A huge portion of what we casually call a retention problem is actually an attention problem in disguise. We forget people's names not because our memory is broken, but because we weren't truly listening in the first place. Our mind was elsewhere. Be fully present. The second M stands for methods. These are the fun, creative, almost playful techniques that ancient Greek scholars used to memorize entire epic poems, thousands of lines long. The core idea is brilliantly simple. Turn boring, abstract information into vivid, multisensory images. Your brain struggles to remember abstract words or meaningless numbers, but it's absolutely fantastic at remembering pictures, especially unusual or funny ones. Kwik teaches a powerful ancient technique called the Loci method, also known as the memory palace technique. You associate specific pieces of information you want to remember with familiar locations along a mental journey, like the various rooms in your house as you walk through it. To recall the information later, you simply walk through your house in your imagination and see the vivid items you deliberately placed there. It sounds almost too simple, but it works remarkably well. After memory comes speed reading, a skill that dramatically accelerated Kwik's own personal transformation. The average person reads at roughly 200 words per minute, which is interestingly the same speed we speak aloud. But our brains can actually process visual information much, much faster than that. One of the biggest roadblocks holding us back is something called subvocalization, that persistent little voice in your head that silently says each word as your eyes pass over it. To overcome this limitation, Kwik teaches you to use a visual pacer, something as simple as your finger or a pen, to guide your eyes smoothly across the page. Your eyes are naturally attracted to motion, and this simple tool can immediately increase your reading speed by 25 to 50%. It helps you transition from reading word by word to seeing groups of words or even complete ideas, all at once. As Kwik loves to say, leaders are readers, and the ability to move through information quickly gives you a massive competitive advantage in any field. Finally, Kwik addresses thinking itself. Becoming limitless isn't just about rapidly absorbing massive amounts of information. It's about effectively using that information to think more clearly, solve complex problems, and innovate in your field. He introduces several valuable mental models, which function like helpful thinking shortcuts. One of my personal favorites is Dr. Edward de Bono's 6 Thinking Hats framework. This elegant model allows you to examine a problem systematically from 6 completely different perspectives. You metaphorically put on a different colored thinking hat for each distinct mode of thinking. The white hat represents pure data, facts, and objective information. The yellow hat represents optimism, potential benefits, and positive outcomes. The black hat represents caution, critical judgment, and potential problems. The red hat represents feelings, gut intuition, and emotional responses. The green hat represents creativity, fresh ideas, and innovative possibilities. And the blue hat represents process control, the big picture, and overview thinking. By intentionally and consciously shifting your thinking approach, you break out of your default mental ruts and generate far more robust, well-rounded solutions to challenging problems. These methods, focus, study, memory, speed reading, and thinking, are not abstract theories or academic concepts. They form a practical, immediately usable toolkit for systematically upgrading your brain's performance. They are the concrete how that transforms a limitless mindset and powerful motivation into real-world, measurable results. When you skillfully combine all 3 elements, mindset, motivation, and methods, you step decisively out of the limiting trance and into an expansive world where almost anything becomes possible. You become the hero of your own unfolding story, finally equipped with the superpowers that were always inside you, just waiting patiently to be unlocked and unleashed. As we come to the end of our journey through the transformative ideas in Limitless, I want to take a moment to reflect on what makes this book so genuinely special and different. In a world absolutely flooded with complex theories, abstract advice, and empty promises, Jim Kwik has given us something refreshingly clear, immediately practical, and deeply human. The most powerful lesson for me personally is the central, liberating idea that our limitations are not fixed realities we're stuck with forever. They are learned behaviors we can unlearn. The remarkable story of the boy with the broken brain becoming a world-renowned brain coach isn't just an inspiring, feel-good tale. It's a living, breathing testament to this principle in action. It forces us to honestly ask ourselves a difficult but necessary question. What limiting labels have we unconsciously accepted about ourselves? What supposedly broken parts of ourselves have we allowed to define and constrain our potential? This book is a powerful, urgent invitation to courageously challenge those labels and to actively unlearn the helplessness we've been taught by experience. What I also deeply appreciate is the elegant simplicity of the Limitless model itself. Mindset, motivation, and methods. It's so easy to remember and recall, yet it comprehensively covers the entire ecosystem of personal growth and transformation. So often we try desperately to fix one isolated area while ignoring the others. We try to adopt new productive habits, the methods, without first changing our underlying limiting beliefs about what's possible, the mindset. Or we get temporarily inspired by an exciting big goal, the motivation, but have absolutely no practical strategy or technique to actually achieve it, the methods. Kwik brilliantly shows us that all three elements must work together in harmony. It's a holistic approach that honors the genuine complexity of being human while providing a simple, memorable, actionable framework anyone can use. And the book is generously filled with these immediately actionable steps. The quick start exercises, scattered thoughtfully throughout the chapters, are brilliant because they instantly close the frustrating gap between knowing and doing. It's not just about passively learning an interesting concept. It's about actively applying it right now, today, in a small, manageable way that builds momentum. This underlying philosophy of small, simple steps is perhaps the most practical and genuinely encouraging advice for anyone who has ever felt completely overwhelmed by an ambitious goal. You don't have to become limitless overnight in some dramatic transformation. You just have to commit to taking one small, concrete step forward today. If you were to take just one single thing from our time together and deliberately apply it to your life starting right now, let it be this. Start with consciously examining your mindset. Choose one of the 7 learning lies that genuinely resonates with your experience, perhaps the deeply ingrained idea that mistakes equal failure, and make a deliberate, conscious effort to replace it with a new, more empowering belief. Mistakes are exactly how I learn and grow. Notice carefully how even that small shift in perspective begins to change how you approach challenges. Notice how it gives you permission to be imperfect, to be a beginner, to grow through experimentation and inevitable mistakes. That was an engaging summary of Limitless by Jim Kwik. We've journeyed through the core transformative ideas together today. But remember, a summary is like looking at a detailed map of a beautiful, unexplored country. The map can accurately show you where the mountains, rivers, and cities are located, but it can't give you the actual feeling of warm sun on your skin or the soothing sound of flowing water. The real magic, the real transformation, happens when you explore the territory for yourself, step by step. This book is so much more than just information to consume. It's an experience, an adventure, a genuine transformation waiting to unfold. If any of the stories, concepts, or ideas we've discussed today have sparked something meaningful in you, if you felt even a flicker of possibility, I wholeheartedly encourage you to pick up your own copy and dive in. Reading it isn't just a passive act of learning more facts. It's an active, courageous act of becoming someone new. The link to grab the book is waiting for you in the description below. Also, if you found this summary genuinely valuable and helpful, please take just a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. It's one of those small, simple steps that actually helps us tremendously as we continue to bring you these deep journeys into the world's most transformative and powerful books. Let's keep learning, keep growing, and keep becoming the limitless versions of ourselves, together.